I wanted to do this video about how I make sourdough bread. I'm really interested in the cinnamon bread with raisins, and I get this off Pinterest with homemadefoodjunkie.com. So you can find that recipe for raisins, but I wanted to put my own twist on it. Instead of the raisins, I'm doing apples, and I really think that it's really good. So you first have to start with some freshly fed active sourdough. So you want it to be all bubbly. Look how bubbly that is. And so that's probably going to be a good one. And this one, I'm making 4 loaves today because I have 4 friends that want this. So I'm making double. So this one recipe makes 2 loaves. So we're first going to take our bowl and put it on the scale and start the scale. And you want it to be at 0 grams. And then you're going to put in water. I'm going to put, it says warm water, but I'm putting just normal water, the Crystal Geyser spring water is what I've been using. It seems to work really well. So you want 650 grams. So that's of water. Almost there. There we go. That's good enough. All right, then you're going to take your scale and zero it out again. So then you're going to do 300 grams of starter. So we'll get my starter and pour in for 300 grams. And you see that it is, it's floating. That's how you want it. If it sinks, you don't use it. It's not going to rise. So it has to be floating. And you see the bubbles in this? That's how you want it. So we're doing 300 grams of starter. So just pour it on top of the water. 300 grams. Almost there. Okay, that's good. Even though it's a little over, it's not going to be a problem. All right, then you're going to put in 50 grams of honey, any kind of honey. So 50 grams. Oh, don't forget, zero it out. I've done that before where I forgot to zero it out. So 50 grams of honey, pour it right over everything. Okay, all right, 50 grams. Now you're going to take your stirrer. This is the best stirrer I've found. You want this kind. And so you just stir that all in. Okay, then you're going to put in avocado oil. So this is the avocado oil. And zero it out again. And this avocado oil, 40 grams, all right? So 40 grams. It's a little bit more, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. And then you stir that around. All right, now I'm going to put the flour in. And this you use white bread flour. So use bread flour, zero it out, and you're going to do 1,000 grams of white bread flour. So I just dump it in, and we're going to, you want to go to 1,000 grams. That's 3, 4, 5, probably about 6 cups, but you want to do it by grams, so almost there. Oh, okay, we're there. Now you take it off your scale, and you're going to stir it together. And they call it a shaggy, to be shaggy. Lumps and bumps. So I've stirred it for like less than a minute. Now I'm going to take my hands and I'm just taking it and I'm going to say gooshing it around because it's really gooshy. And then you will put a wet cloth on top of this when it gets all mixed up like this and leave it for an hour. Okay, so I've got my sourdough. It's kind of a shaggy look to it, and it took me about a minute or two with my hands to mix it all together. And then I take and I put it on my stove because it's the warmest there with lights on it. So I keep it there for an hour and I put a wet cloth over that and leave it for an hour, and then I'll come back and add the salt to it. Okay, the dough's been sitting longer than an hour. I was gone, so it's been probably an hour and a half or 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So you can see you need to kind of wet your hands, and then it'll be better. And now it's time for the salt. So we're going to put in 20 grams of salt and add a little water to the salt so it blends better. Okay, so we got 20 grams of salt, and this is the kind of salt that I like. You can use any kind, but I love the Redmond Real Salt, Ancient Fine Sea Salt. Then we put our water in just a little bit with the salt, just till it gets moistened. Like that, and then just pour it right over the dough, and then you're just going to mix with your hand all that salt in the dough, and then you're going to let it sit. Put the cloth back over, the wet cloth back over, and let it sit another 30 minutes. And so you're just going to get all that salt mixed in with your hand. I usually do 2 hands, so it's a little hard because I'm filming. But yeah, just mix it in and then put the towel on, let it sit for another 30 minutes. And then we'll do the stretch and fold. So that's probably good. So then you put the cloth back over and just let it sit there for 30 minutes. All right, this is I put the salt in. This is my other bowl. I'm making actually 4 loaves today. So this is how I do it. to get all of the salt in. You just mix it around, use the one hand to twirl it around, and you just lift it, rise, and punch down. You just punch it and get all that salt mixed up so you can see it. All right, then just let it rest for another 30 minutes. Okay, now it's sat for 30 minutes, and so what you're going to do is your first stretch and fold. And so this is what I do. I wet my hands in water so it's easier to lift up, and then it's really smooth, and I just stretch it and fold it, turn it, so that's one rotation, and grab it, stretch it, and pull it over, turn it, that's two. Now you're going to do the third one, stretch. It gets a little harder to stretch on the third one, and my hands need to be wet. And then the fourth, I'm going to stretch, grab it, and then stretch it, and pull it over, just like that. And then that's it. And then you're going to cover it with a cloth and let it sit 30 minutes, and then do it again. Stretch it, and then you're going to do it 4 times, just like that. All right, now it's been 30 minutes, so we're going to do the second stretch and fold. So get your hands wet, and you're going to lift. It's not wet enough. Lift up, and it's really smooth and slippery. Pull it, and then fold it once. Pull, fold twice. Pull, fold 3 times. And pull. The cat wants to be in the video. And fold 4 times. So, oops. And then cover it and wait another 30 minutes to do the third fold. So time for the third stretch and fold. You grab it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let it sit for 30 minutes, and then do one more last stretch and fold. And then we'll put it in the refrigerator. All right, we're in the final stretch, down the back stretch. And we're going to stretch it one more time. It's been 30 minutes, and it's looking really good. Look at that nice, smooth stretch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we can put it to bed. It's going to go in the refrigerator overnight for 12 hours. And you put its little shower cap, night cap on, and put it in the refrigerator. And then take it out for the final thing in the morning. All right, so it's in the morning, and I just took it out of the refrigerator, and you can see it's risen a little bit. So you leave these shower caps on, and you just let it rise on the counter here for 2 hours, and then we'll do something else with it. So I've rolled out all the dough, and I'm just going to leave it like this. Don't cover it. You want it to kind of be dry on top, and leave it out on the counter for 1 hour. And then you can roll it out and put the cinnamon and sugar on. That's what I'll do next. Alright, so after an hour, you're going to take your ball, and the dry side, you're going to flip on the counter, like that. And then you're going to take it and stretch it, kind of flap it, get all the air bubbles out. This is the fun part. I like to do that. So I see lots of air bubbles. I want to stretch it till they pop. Kind of have to make it all evenly stretched. There's some lumps in some parts. So that's pretty good. Then you're going to take I take brown sugar and cinnamon. And then you put half on top of this. So it's a half a cup of brown sugar or white granulated sugar, and 2 tablespoons of the cinnamon. All right, then you pat it down, stretch it. You can stretch it now because you can touch it and it's not going to stick to your hands. And it's coated, the edges kind of are thicker around the edges, so I try to move them out, make it all even like a big pizza. And there's still some air bubbles. Then you're going to take your 1.5 cups of apples, and half of that you're going to put over it. So half of the cinnamon you put on the first layer, and half of the apples. Do that. Apples or raisins, doesn't matter. I've been doing raisins, but now I'm into apples. Kind of spread all the apples out and push them in. Then you're going to take one side and fold it to the middle, like this, to the middle, and take the other side and kind of pinch it together like this. And the ends you kind of roll up because you don't want any of this leaking out. And so it's all pinched together. Now you're going to put the other cinnamon, the rest of the cinnamon down, and kind of pat that down. Like that. And then the rest of the apples will go in. On top of that, spread it around. So all that deliciousness gets everywhere. Then you're going to roll it from the bottom. Anything that falls off you can stick back in. Kind of a tight roll. Like this. Okay, so we've got it like that. Now you're going to take and put it in your bread pan that's oiled. And you're going to take some saran wrap. And you're going to put it over it, but I like to first spray it with Pam or some kind of oil. Turn it over, and that way it won't stick when it rises. So you're letting it rise maybe a couple hours, and then you're going to put it in the oven. And then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, the bread's been rising probably an hour and a half, and you want to bake it when it starts to go above the rim of the bread pan. And so you want to turn the oven on to 400 degrees, and you're going to have a pan of water on the bottom and stick the pizza stone on the middle, and you want it to steam for the first 15 minutes. So to get it to steam, you're going to take, well, first you want to score it. You're going to take a razor blade and you're going to cut into it. It doesn't matter which way you do it. I like to do 3, or you could do 1 down the middle. And then you're going to spray it with some water because you want it to be steamy. You're going to steam it at 400 for 15 minutes. So you put it right in there, and then shut the door. Well, then you also have to do your other bread. I'll put in, but spray the stone with water, get it all steamy, and then shut the door, and then time it for 15 minutes, and then you're going to turn it down to 375. Take out the water pan, and then cook it for I've been doing an hour and 10 minutes. So it needs to reach 200 degrees, the temperature in the bread. Okay, I've taken them out. Took about an hour, and so the temperature is over 200, and that's when you want to take it out. When it gets to 200, that's when it's done. So you take it out of the pan, and then you're going to take some butter and rub it all over the top to make it soft. So leave them out to cool off in about 2 hours. You don't want to cut into it. You want it to be completely cooled off, like room temperature. And then you, the best way for this loaf is you cut it in slices and put them in freezer bags and stick them in the freezer. And then when you want to toast in the morning, you just get a slice and pop it in your toaster, and it stays fresh for a long time. All right, enjoy. Bye.